So, navigating today's job market, finding that, ideal job, it feels like a huge challenge, doesn't it? Definitely more than just firing off
Oh,
resumes.
absolutely. It's really shifted. If you want something genuinely fulfilling, something that clicks, you need a much more strategic, conscious approach.
Right. It's like you have to really think it through.
Exactly. It's about actively building your path, not just reacting.
And that's what jumped out at me from Ruta Estratégica para alcanzar el trabajo de tus sueños, a strategic roadmap to achieving your dream job. It digs deeper than just the paycheck.
Yeah, it really focuses on finding that sweet spot, doesn't it? Where your values, your strengths, your interests, and maybe even your bigger life purpose, they all kind of intersect in your work.
That's the goal, isn't it? So using this guide as our map, our mission today is really to pull out those key strategies, give you, the listener, some practical tools, some new ways to think about shaping a career that actually feels, well, fulfilling.
Okay, so where does this roadmap tell us to start?
It kicks off with the absolute foundation, self-knowledge. Autoconocimiento, as the guide puts it.
Makes sense. You can't really plan a journey without knowing your starting point, can you?
Exactly. How do you even know what you're aiming for if you haven't looked inwards? The source really hammers home understanding your strengths, weaknesses too, your passions, your aspirations.
Yeah, connecting all that to a sense of purpose in your work, it's vital.
And the guide suggests some concrete ways to do this, doesn't it?
It does. It mentions things like the MBTI test, maybe as one way to understand your preferences. Also doing a personal SWOT analysis,
SWOT, strengths, weaknesses.
opportunities and threats. Yeah.
Hmm.
But specifically looking at yourself in a professional context. Where do you shine? What are your potential roadblocks in the job market? It encourages that honest assessment,
I like the idea of writing a life vision too, not just career, but bigger picture.
right? Creating that broader picture of where you see yourself going.
How does that kind of vision help with like day-to-day career stuff?
Well, it acts like your North Star, you know? It helps you filter opportunities. Does this role, this company, actually move me closer to that vision? Or is it a detour? It grounds your decisions in what truly matters to you.
So it really forces you to think, have you actually sat down and defined your core values? And are they guiding your career choices right now?
That's the core question, really, a powerful place to start.
Okay, so once you have that deeper self-understanding, what's next on the path?
Then the focus shifts to zero de competencia skills development.
Continuous learning, basically, beyond just your degree or initial training.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
The guide stresses that the job market is constantly changing, so you have to keep evolving too. It's not optional anymore, really.
And it points to specific skills that are really valued now, right? Like critical thinking.
Yes, being able to analyze things objectively, solve problems. Tech management is huge too across so many fields.
Beta skills, software proficiency, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And collaborative leadership, working well in teams, guiding others, and crucially, emotional intelligence.
Ah, EQ.
Mm,
Understanding yourself, managing relationships effectively, that seems more important than ever.
definitely. And the guide looks ahead, suggesting things like professional certifications, online courses, seeing them as investments in your future self.
Proactive skill building. So if you're in marketing, maybe get that SEO certification or...
Or project management, if that's your path. It's about tailoring your learning to where you want to go, staying adaptable.
So for you listening, maybe pause and think. Which of those skills, critical thinking, tech, leadership, EQ, might need some attention for your dream job path?
Good prompt.
Okay, so we know ourselves better, we're building skills. How do we package all that for the world?
That takes us right into market personal, your personal brand.
Ah, the professional impression you make, how people see you.
Exactly. And in a crowded market, differentiation is key. You need to stand out. The guide talks about, well, the practical elements.
Like a really sharp CV, one that highlights achievements, not just duties.
Precisely. And a strong LinkedIn profile. That's your digital storefront, really. Maybe even a digital portfolio if your work is visual or project-based.
And it's all tied together by a story, a narrative.
Yes, a coherent narrative. Being able to clearly articulate who you are professionally, what value you bring, where you've been, and where you're headed. It's your professional story.
So it's about being really intentional with your online presence, making sure it reflects your goals.
Definitely. So a question for you listening. Does your current online footprint actually match up with your career ambitions? Is it sending the right message?
Something to check, for sure. Okay, so we've got the internal foundation, the external presentation. What about connecting with people?
That brings us to networking strategico, strategic networking. And the guide throws out a pretty startling statistic here.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
It suggests something like 70 to 80% of job opportunities come through contacts.
Wow. 70 to 80%. That really drives home that it's not just about applying online, is it?
Not at all. It's about building genuine relationships. The guide emphasizes authenticity, not just collecting contacts, but actually connecting.
So going to industry events, maybe? Seeking out mentors? Being active on places like LinkedIn?
All of the above,
Yeah.
but focusing on quality over quantity, building real connections based on mutual interest or respect. It suggests things like reaching out for informational interviews.
Just to learn, not necessarily to ask for a job immediately.
Exactly. Or contributing thoughtfully to online discussions in your field. Being visible in a helpful way.
So practical steps could be
Yeah.
maybe identifying a few key people in your target industry and just asking for a quick chat,
Mm.
or joining a relevant LinkedIn group and actually participating.
Yes, small, consistent actions. It's an ongoing process building that network, but clearly incredibly important.
No kidding. Okay, so networking pays off. You start getting interviews. How does the guide suggest we approach that whole selection process?
Right, the process of selection. The
Right.
first thing it does is debunk the myth that interviews are just about luck,
Good, because it often feels that way.
doesn't it? But the guide stresses preparation, confidence, the kind that comes from preparation and having a strategy.
And it mentions a specific strategy, the STAR method.
Yes, STAR. It's a great tool for answering those behavioral questions, the tell me about a time when type questions.
Okay, break it down for us. ST.
S is for situation, describe the context. T is for task was, what was your specific responsibility? A is for action, what steps did you take? And R is for result, what was the outcome?
Situation, task, action, result. Got it. It gives structure.
Exactly. It helps you give concrete, evidence-based answers, not just vague claims. Show, don't just tell.
And the guide also mentions preparing questions for the interviewer.
Yes, definitely. Asking insightful questions shows you're genuinely engaged, you've done your homework, and you're thinking strategically about the role in the company.
It shows you're interviewing them too, in a way.
It does. It shows vision. So for you listening, maybe think about some key experiences you've had. How could you frame them using STAR to really highlight your skills for the jobs you want?
Good exercise. All right, let's fast forward. You nailed the interviews, and boom, you've got an offer. Maybe even more than one. What does the guide say about evaluating those offers? The evaluación de ofertas.
This is crucial. The guide really pushes back against focusing only on the salary figure.
Which is tempting, let's be honest.
Very tempting, but it encourages looking at the whole package, the total value proposition.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, things like the organizational culture, what's it actually like to work there? What are the values in practice? Then non-economic benefits, health insurance, retirement plans, vacation time, training opportunities.
The whole benefits package.
Right. And opportunities for growth within the company, the actual work environment day to day. And circling back to the start, how well does this job align with your personal values?
It's a much more holistic view, isn't it? Thinking long-term satisfaction, not just the immediate cash.
Precisely. It's about setting yourself up for fulfillment, not just a bigger paycheck next month.
So maybe before you even get an offer, it's worth figuring out, what are those non-salary factors that are non-negotiable for you? What really matters for your happiness at work?
Exactly. Having that clarity beforehand gives you a framework to make a truly informed decision when the time comes.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into the Ruta Strategica really highlights that finding your ideal job isn't just luck, it's an active internal journey.
Absolutely. It requires proactive steps, discipline, self-awareness. It's about preparing yourself.
So you're ready to recognize and seize the right opportunities when they appear, rather than just waiting for perfection to fall into your lap.
Exactly. It's about being prepared for opportunity.
And acknowledging, like the guide suggests, that the path probably won't be a straight line. There'll be twists and turns.
But viewing each step, even the detours, as a chance to learn and grow.
So, quick recap of the key strategies. Really know yourself. Keep learning and developing skills. Build an authentic personal brand. Network strategically.
Prepare thoroughly for interviews using tools like STAR, and evaluate offers holistically, looking way beyond just the salary.
It's a comprehensive roadmap. So, our final thought for you, the listener, thinking about everything we've covered today. What's one single action, maybe even a small one, inspired by this conversation that you can take today to move just one step closer to your ideal professional life?
That first step could make all the difference.